This narco-terrorist needs no introduction. Born in December 1949, he grew up in an average household. His father was a farmer, and his mother was a teacher. Who would have guessed he would be the world's wealthiest criminal in the future, with a wealth of more than 30 billion US dollars by his death? Who would have thought this man would build himself a 5-star prison? Yes, you heard it right. He built himself a luxurious prison. Today, we are bringing you the story of Pablo Escobar's luxurious prison. So buckle up for the interesting and exciting story of the wealthiest criminal in history, the king of cocaine, Pablo Escobar. So, let's begin. The story of Pablo Escobar, the king of cocaine, was the sole leader of the Medellin Cartel. This cartel monopolized drug smuggling in the United States of America from the 1980s to the early 1990s. The Medellin Cartel was founded in 1976 by Pablo himself. It monopolized the distribution of powder cocaine by establishing smuggling routes. This infamous route was from Colombia to Peru, Bolivia, Ecuador, and the United States. This created a huge demand for cocaine in the 1980s. It is said that Pablo shipped 70 to 80 tons of cocaine from Colombia to the United States, which made him filthy rich. He was always at war with the rival groups in both the United States and Colombia. Hundreds of people were killed, including police officers, politicians, and even judges. This made Colombia the murder capital of the world. Pablo was born in Rio Negro and was raised in Medellin. He briefly went to Universidad Autónoma Latinoamericana, but never graduated. Thanks to numerous series and movies about the drug lord, you don't need much history about Pablo Escobar. The crimes by Pablo began during his high school years. He started by making fake high school diplomas, and it escalated rather quickly from there. He indulged in illegal drug supply, selling fake lottery tickets, vehicle theft, and many more such activities after dropping out of college. He later became involved in drug smuggling, kidnapping, and holding people for a huge amount in the late 1970s, leading to the birth of the Medellin Cartel. Pablo married when he was 26 years old to Maria Victoria Henao. She was 15 years old when she married Escobar in 1976. Henao's family was not in favor of marriage because they considered Pablo socially inferior, but the pair eloped and had 2 children, Juan Pablo and Manuela. Escobar bought several residences. Among all of them, Hacienda Nápoles was famous. This was a colonial house with a zoo. It had animals from different continents, including elephants, hippopotamuses, and exotic birds. It also had a sculpture park. Pablo had the plan to construct a citadel in Greek style near it. The construction of the citadel was started but never finished. Escobar also had a house in the United States of America. It was 6,500 square feet with a waterfront mansion. It was seized by the U.S. federal government in the 1980s. Journalist Virginia Vallejo, a television anchorwoman who was romantically involved with Pablo, published Loving Pablo, her memoir of Pablo Escobar, which described her romantic relationship with him. This book inspired the Loving Pablo movie. She offered her testimony in 2006, July 4th, to Attorney General Mario Iguaran. Her testimony was against former Senator Alberto Santofimio. He was accused of conspiracy in 1989. Unfortunately, in the case of the assassination of Luis Carlos Galán, a presidential candidate, the action was taken too late to be seen since she contacted the judge's office on the 4th of July. Still, the trial was closed several weeks before the prospective closing date, the 9th of July. The drug war in the United States of America. At the same time, America was fighting its huge war on drugs. It is not a secret that anyone, irrespective of their political affiliation, became the sole agenda of elections and political parties. America's relationship with drugs was permanently changed after the implementation of the Harrison Narcotics Tax Act in 1914. This regulated the sale of drugs, especially cocaine. After the implementation of this act, the production and consumption of cocaine reduced drastically. At one point, the numbers were so low it was even considered a thing of the past. The usage of drugs rose to its highest levels in decades during the 1960s because of the music festivals and bands. Pablo was not a fool to leave this opportunity. He was on a mission to smuggle many drugs to America. As a result, the image of cocaine changed. Thanks to Pablo's marketing, it went from poor man's drug to glamorized party drug. This led to the era of disco, drugs, and music festivals. Pablo Escobar made no mistake here. He invested in equipment and made millions and billions in no time. Pablo changed the status given to cocaine by making it a party drug, a Wall Street drug, As a result, people were hooked on cocaine like never before. The rise of Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar was powerful in his hometown. He was the hero of his community. Escobar's money made decisions rather than people in power. He bought the system with his money. He had so much power that he could change the competing people if he didn't like them. He also had the title Shadow President. In 1982, Escobar's influence grew like a monster. He was rich and powerful. Money and power are two weapons that can cause great damage to people when misused. That's exactly what happened to Pablo Escobar. He was elected as an alternate member of the Chamber of Representatives in 1982 as a part of the liberal alternative movement. He gained popularity among the locals as he was responsible for constructing houses and other infrastructure. The Colombian Constitution was changed to make it impossible to return Colombians to any country, including the United States of America. When the Medellin cartel was at its peak, it dominated the cocaine trade. The cartel earned around $420 million in a week. This is what made Pablo the wealthiest man in the world. According to sources, Pablo had around $25 to $30 billion in net worth when they died. He led a luxurious life with lavish houses and great parties. In the 1980s, he also offered to pay his country's $10 billion debt and demanded to exempt him from any extradition treaty. Escobar also burned $2 million to keep his daughter warm when his family was on the run in 1992. There are rumors that he couldn't spend all the money, and some of it was stored in fields and warehouses. According to his brother, 10% or more was lost annually because it was eaten by rats or destroyed by the enemies. Sometimes it was just lost. It is said that he spent $2,500 every month for rubber to hold his money. He found new ways to smuggle drugs, and one of the most rumored ways is that he smuggled drugs by plane flight. Depending on the number of drugs smuggled, pilots earned around $500,000 per day. The decline of Pablo Escobar. His political dreams were shattered when the Colombian government arrested him with links to the DAS building and Avianca Flight 203 bombings. Escobar was the last major boss of his cartel. After eluding the great nationwide, the intense manhunt for 7 years, he surrendered in exchange for a promise of leniency for drug-related crimes and a guarantee against extradition to the United States. He was then escorted to the prison he built for himself in a helicopter. Popeye, Otto, and Carlos Aguilar are the three other cartel members who surrendered with the boss. On Wednesday evening, Cesar Gaviria, the president of Colombia, announced the surrender and said that his treatment would not be any different from other criminals. We all know how that went. After facing 8 cases in the United States of America, including one for the murder of police, Escobar was most wanted in both nations. He was also a major part of the killing of a news publisher and 2 presidents. The judges' identities were not revealed. They went to the courtroom in armor-plated cars, sat behind a single-sided glass, and spoke through voice-distorting microphones. The story of La Catedral. He was sentenced to 5 years of prison in 1991 when he surrendered. He struck a deal, or no extradition, with Cesar Gaviria, the Colombian president, with the ability to stay in his self-built prison, the famous La Catedral. This is where the story of La Catedral starts. Imagine a prison, and imagine a palace. Now combine these two, and that is La Catedral. Although it was nothing like a prison, it was for a person with a $30 billion net worth. It was also called Hotel Escobar, or Club Medellin. This overlooked the city of Medellin, Colombia. Pablo agreed to serve a 5-year sentence, but asked him to permit him to stay in his self-built prison. What could be the reason that the Colombian government agreed? It was all because Colombia would have Pablo Escobar in prison for 5 long years and get rid of a national headache or embarrassment, even if it's temporary. Escobar's bribes and bombings had pushed the state to collapse in the 1980s, and his imprisonment would be a landmark. Also, the arrangement ended the costs and the time invested in the endless pursuit of the cartel boss. Entering his own prison not only provided protection to Pablo from his assassins, but also from the not-easy-to-bribe U.S. officers. He was afraid of them as well as the judges, as the U.S. law system is so strong. One of his focuses was to be in a grave in Colombia instead of in a cell in the U.S. The entire prison was built based on the specification given by Pablo Escobar, the leader himself. He was also allowed to choose the people who would guard him. Naturally, he chose people who were loyal to him. From the outside, it looked like a prison, a typical huge building in a large compound in a remote area. The compound was tall and had wired fences. The location of the prison was strange, but not surprising. It was located in a hilly area with lots of fog, making it difficult to identify the building. It may remotely look like a prison from the outside because of its wired fences and heavy security, but on the inside, it was as lavish as any luxury hotel. The prison had every facility you would find in a five-star hotel. Football pitch, bar, giant dollhouse, jacuzzi, a waterfall, you name it. He also invited the '91 Colombian national team for a soccer match. The team took the offer. They were invited to the La Cartel and treated with all the royalties. He also asked them to dance because he had the disco floor. He celebrated his 45th birthday in this lavish prison, if you can call it one. It is said that he treated them with quality entertainment and expensive food. The prison was the definition of luxury, with so many party rooms. He even invited models and escorts. He was allowed to talk to his daughter over the phone. There were giant telescopes installed through which he could look at his daughter's house while talking to her over the phone. In addition to all these, he had fully loaded magazines to ensure he was safe. If he had been with these luxurious boundaries, he would not have seen the cruel face of the government. He was still running the empire he had built. He used to hear what happened outside the thick walls of his lavish prison, but for some reason, the government didn't seem to care about it much. Escobar tortured and murdered 4 people who were lieutenants in his self-built prison. This was when the government stopped turning a blind eye to his drug smuggling. The government decided that he should move to the standard prison, which he refused. He refused to go to the standard prison and ran away in July 1992. He ran away after serving 1 year and 1 month. It is said that Pablo just walked out of the back gate of La Catedral. This led to the biggest manhunt in Colombia. The special force employed a 600-man unit force, specially trained by Search Block, the United States Delta Force. It was led by Colonel Hugo Martinez. The location played a major role in helping Pablo escape. The fog came after 6 o'clock in the evening, which made the air assault highly impossible. In addition, the steep location made it difficult for both rivals and the army to reach. On December 2, 1993, Colombian Special Forces found Escobar in a middle-class residential area of Medellin. Police tried to arrest Escobar, but the situation escalated quickly, leading to gunfire. Pablo tried to escape through the roof but was shot and died. He was hit by bullets in the torso and feet, and a bullet struck him in the ear, killing him. This sparked debate about whether he killed himself or whether he was shot dead. The image of Pablo is rather controversial. He is seen as evil and the one who committed heinous crimes in the United States of America. But he had a Robin Hood-like image in Colombia. That is mainly because he donated and helped the poor people of his community. 25,000 people attended his funeral and mourned his death. The present state of La Catedral. So what happened to La Catedral? What is happening there in the present day? It was deserted for many years, and in 2007 a group of monks from Benedictine Fraternidad Monastica Santa Gertrudis transformed the site when they arrived. This place attracted Benedictine monks because it was a great place to meditate away from the city. These monks hired laid-off people to help with the errands. They started a library, cafeteria, workshops, a memorial of the victims of the Cartel prison, and a guest house for religious pilgrims. By looking at the efforts made by these monks, the Envigado city allocated the entire prison to these monks. It is now run by these monks for senior citizens. The walls of La Catedral have seen all kinds of people, from thugs, drug dealers, leaders of cartels, corrupt politicians, and sometimes noble ones too, soccer players and prostitutes who had nothing to offer other than greed, lust, lies, and every illegal thing you can imagine. And now they see monks, senior citizens, and religious pilgrims who want nothing but peace and contentment. These walls stand as a witness to 2 different sides of humanity. One side is the civilized side, which finds meaning and purpose in serving others and creating peace between communities, and the other is filled with greed. It is all about people who think nothing but selfish, materialistic needs and wants. They are enraged and have nothing to offer to the world. They always seek revenge. They say 2 opposite stories, as opposite as day and night, as opposite as black and white, and as opposite as Pablo Escobar and the monks. Which one we like to follow is up to us. History will give us examples, and it's up to us to decide if we let history repeat itself. With this, we have come to the end of the video. If you had the option to build your own prison, how would you build it? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to like this video and share it with someone who might like this. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to never miss an update. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.